Hi guys, correspondent Matt Finn here in Provo, Utah, outside of the courthouse where Charlie Kirk's alleged killer, Tyler Robinson, appeared in person yesterday. I'm going to tell you something. I've covered murder trials in states all over the country, and I have not seen the level of security that we're seeing here. So yesterday, before the sunrise, there was bomb-sniffing dogs going around the parking lot. There ended up being snipers up on the roof. They closed a few blocks in each direction. This is a major intersection, downtown Provo. And then Tyler Robinson himself was presumably delivered in a armored vehicle, like a giant like SWAT vehicle that you see. So the state of Utah and this county is taking security extremely seriously. Then once we were inside of the courtroom, there were 2, if not 3, SWAT team members lining the aisles on each side in tactical gear and visible automatic weapons, in addition to the local law enforcement. I've never seen that in a courtroom where you have SWAT team members in tactical gear, like camo gear, inside of a courtroom, and multiple just lining the aisles. So the level of security here is absolutely crazy. I've never seen anything like it for a pre-trial hearing. It's not even the trial. So what's happening here is Robinson's defense team, if you've been following this, they are asking for, by the way, if you have questions, you could drop them and we'll try to answer them. Robinson's defense team is asking for the Utah County prosecutor, the entire office, to be disqualified from this case because one of the lead prosecutors had a daughter, an 18-year-old daughter, who was at Charlie Kirk's assassination at Utah Valley University. So Robinson's defense team is arguing that is going to create an emotional bias. I think the prosecutor's name is Chad Grunander. The defense team is saying he has an emotional bias. So yesterday he took to the stand, and we aired some of this on Fox News, you can watch it, and said that his daughter being present had no bearing on them making a decision to seek the death penalty for Tyler Robinson. So that was the prosecution's argument. The defense is saying, we think that you guys are not going to be able to remain unbiased. The judge is expected to make a written decision in a couple of weeks at the end of the month. So we'll obviously be sure to bring that to you. Now, yesterday when I was in court with our producer, Jamie, the defense team threw out another motion. They argued that the state attorney general's office here should take over this case. And the prosecution said, look, we are fully capable of moving forward with this. No need for the state attorney general to step in. And the judge actually made a quick decision right there, and he denied the motion for the state attorney general to step in. So our impression is that Tyler Robinson's defense is clearly doing whatever they can, any type of strategy they can, to get the Utah County Attorney's Office off of this case. I talked to an attorney yesterday who said that these local prosecutors are usually very strong in prosecuting these type of cases, murder cases, criminal cases, whereas the state attorney general's office may be more involved in like higher things like appellate courts. They're not necessarily in the day-to-day grind of prosecuting criminal cases. So perhaps that's one strategy why the defense team wants the local prosecutors off this case. But in general, it's clear that the defense team is trying to delay the beginning of this trial, whether or not it's intentional or they just don't feel like the prosecutor's office is qualified. They are trying to delay the start of this trial. Critics are saying, it's a strategy because ultimately they do not want their client, Tyler Robinson, to perhaps be found guilty. And he does face the death penalty here. Also in court yesterday, we've been talking, by the way, if you have questions, you can ask. Let's see.
Okay, so one of the questions we have here is, what is the reaction around the emotional revenge claim for the death penalty from the defense?
The emotional revenge for the prosecutor?
Yeah.
So Chad Grunander, he took the stand yesterday and testified that it has no bearing. And then also, what's interesting is the 18-year-old daughter, she wasn't up close and personal with Charlie Kirk. She was a pretty considerable distance away, and her initial text with her dad indicated that she wasn't even sure what had happened, that they kind of heard a noise, they were scared, they ran inside, and then later they realized that Charlie Kirk was perhaps shot. So, the prosecution is trying to say, that this young lady, this 18-year-old woman, didn't have an up-close personal view of Charlie Kirk, that she's probably not going to be, they don't plan on calling her even as a witness, so that there is no emotional attachment. Now, that's what the prosecution claims. You do have to wonder, though, if your daughter was there, how you would feel. But this is, within the county, so this is their jurisdiction. So you have to imagine they would have prosecuted this case anyways, regardless of this one daughter being there. There were, thousands of people there that day.
So the next question is, will there be cameras in the trial?
Yeah, so far we have, the indication is yes. So what was interesting was yesterday, initially you may recall, I think it was two hearings ago, or two trial dates, or not trial, but two court appearances prior. The pool camera, and a pool camera means there's one video camera in there, and then that camera is feeding out to all the other networks, right? So whenever you hear the term pool camera, it means that camera there is representing basically a lot of the partnered networks and news stations. So the pool camera, I think it was December when I was here, it was pretty close to Tyler Robinson's defense table, and it ended up showing, I think, Tyler Robinson in shackles, if not for a couple moments. Also, Tyler Robinson's defense team claimed it showed some of their laptop screens. So understandably, they were ticked off. They filed a complaint. At that point, we were kind of worried, oh boy, I hope the judge does not kick out the camera for good. So what the judge did was he asked the camera to move basically as far away as possible inside of the courtroom to the far corner. So he is not, directly peering over Tyler Robinson's table anymore. Also, the judge yesterday had the cameraman step up to the podium in front of everybody, which can be pretty intimidating, and state what his intent was. His intent was he was going to abide by the rules and basically broadcast anybody who takes the stand, and then wide shots of the courtroom, so the backs of people's heads. Not going to zoom in on Tyler Robinson or his defense team table anymore. However, the judge noted, look, if you guys really are concerned, get some screen protectors on your laptops, because these cameras may catch a glimpse of what is on your laptop. And don't forget, there are a lot of notable trials that have been broadcasted before. I think of O.J. Simpson, a lot of us do, and O.J. was facing the camera a lot. One of the most memorable things was O.J.'s reaction and his attorney's reaction when he was found not guilty, things like that. So it is interesting now that moving forward in this really high-profile case, we may only see the back of Tyler Robinson's head moving forward and his attorneys moving forward. Also, there was a still camera in there yesterday, and it remained pretty close to Tyler Robinson's table. The camera was basically pointed right at Tyler Robinson's face if it wanted to be. And so Robinson's defense team said, we also think the still camera's a problem. It's showing too much of Tyler Robinson's face. They claim they've been getting emails, some that are implying, Robinson is or isn't making certain faces, blah, blah, blah. So the judge did make the still camera move behind Robinson as well. So throughout this entire trial, if it moves forward to an actual trial, which it likely will, we may only see the back of Tyler Robinson's head, which kind of stinks, because, you really do want to see how people are reacting. And I think that's a part of an open public court, is looking at people's faces and their mannerisms. And we may not get that in this. But the judge has not indicated at all that he's going to, prevent cameras from being in the courtroom every step of the way.
And that kind of leads to the next question, which is, how is Robinson's demeanor in court? Have there been any noticeable facial expressions? So
how is Robinson's demeanor, notable facial expressions? I saw his profile a couple times, nothing notable. His parents were there yesterday. To be honest, they seemed, a bit relaxed, waiting. The mom was smiling, they were having casual conversation, but of course God only knows what's running through their mind. But their demeanor was at least, that they were confident heading in and okay, if you will. Inside court, of course, they remained quiet. They were facing forward, dressed very casually and respectfully. The dad had on a checkered shirt, and the mom had on a nice outfit. So taking this seriously and having respect for what's going on. If you have any other questions, you can ask us.
Did the judge hint at if a family member is a bystander rather than a key witness, and is it enough to disqualify an entire prosecution?
Yes, so we've established that through text messages and other court documents, and now yesterday's testimony, that this 18-year-old daughter belongs to one of the chief prosecutors, and she was a bystander. She was a pretty considerable distance away from Charlie Kirk that day, and the text messages indicate that she didn't initially even know what happened, that she heard some type of noise, people start running naturally, she went inside for safety, and it seems like, shortly after she started to realize Charlie Kirk was killed, her text messages indicate that. But she doesn't text her dad, "Oh my goodness, I immediately saw Charlie Kirk die. I don't know what to do with myself." So now granted, she may have some PTSD, and her life may never be the same after being there. But in general, our impression is she's not a key witness, that the prosecution doesn't plan on calling her as a witness. And, keep in mind, there were hundreds, if not thousands of people there that day who saw this, and also people who may have seen it, shortly after via video or live stream or something. So there's so many people who tragically saw that day. And the judge, he hasn't really indicated one way or another how he's going to rule. We don't know. But the prosecution is saying it is not an issue for them.
Have Robinson's parents been defending him outside the courtroom?
No, I don't believe they've been talking to media. I haven't seen them doing an interview anywhere, rightfully so. They were pleasant yesterday. The mom was smiling, I believe, with her attorney. They who knows what's running through their heart and their mind, but in general, they were fully present. They were acting very respectful. They were honoring the situation, and they sat right in the front, kind of directly behind their son yesterday. I didn't see them make any, gestures toward him or anything, but maybe they did. If you have any more questions, let us know. So the judge is supposed to make a ruling later this month, the 26th of February, 24th of February. He'll publish it online, and we'll see if this entire office is disqualified, or maybe this one prosecutor's disqualified, or maybe the judge is going to feel like there's not an emotional bias and this whole thing can move forward. If so, this is heading towards a preliminary a trial, which is basically like a mini trial. And then the judge will decide whether or not there's enough evidence to move forward with an actual trial. We believe that there is going to be an actual trial. This is all headed that way. Anybody who's followed this case knows that. There's a person who's dead. So we'll be here. Fox does not plan on missing a single hour. We're going to have this thing staffed, every pre-trial hearing, every important motion and everything moving forward. And then, of course, we'll be here for the trial. Erica Kirk has filed at least 2 motions. She wants a speedy trial. She wants this thing to keep moving. She also wants public access, and she wants the cameras in the courtroom. Here's another question.
Has there been conspiracies debunked in the courtroom?
No, I would say nothing has been debunked yet. And they really haven't gotten to any serious evidentiary stuff or anything like that. I mean, most of the hearings so far have been based on, discovery and how long that's going to take. And then we have this motion to disqualify the main office. That's really what we've been talking about, the bulk of yesterday. And the prosecution did show that they were irritated yesterday because the defense motioned to have them removed again, to have the state attorney general come in. And the prosecutor got up there and said, look, this feels like Groundhog Day. We're here for an evidentiary hearing, and you guys are, submitting a motion to have us dismissed again. And the judge did quickly turn that down. He denied that. But no, we haven't really gotten to a lot of the substance at all. Both sides have acknowledged an immense amount of digital discovery and evidence. I think the prosecution said that they are downloading digital evidence every second of the day. It's taking them that much time to just download all the evidence. You have to imagine all the files, all the video, all the surveillance, text messages, all those things. So both sides have acknowledged that, and we really haven't gotten to a lot of meat and bones yet, or substance yet, in terms of any conspiracy theories or things of that nature. And an attorney I talked to said, look, the defense is going to throw anything they can at the wall to immediately try to discredit the prosecutor's office. So if anything goes wrong in the future, they can say, yep, see, we can point to this daughter, that was an emotional bias, things of that nature. So that's kind of where we are now. It seems like the defense is throwing what it can out. But, you could understand their argument that, look, you've got a daughter who was there. She may be impacted. You may be impacted. It's a fair argument. But my understanding is, if they're not going to call her as a witness, or especially if they're not going to call her as a key witness, then, the prosecutor likely be able to move forward with this case. But no conspiracy theories, nothing of that nature. Erica Kirk certainly making her presence known. The judge has been, mentioning her by name, saying that, Mrs. Kirk, who is, representing the deceased, Charlie Kirk, she wants a speedy trial. She wants cameras in the court. So the judge is not only taking that into consideration, he is publicly stating that she is filing these motions. So anyways, my name is Matt Finn. We'll keep you updated on the Fox News channel, on my social media. I hope you have a great day. It is remarkably more mild here than Minneapolis, where we were dealing with temperatures -10, -20. Here it's like a whole 20 or 30. So we feel fortunate about that. All right, have a great day. See you next time.